Hello everyone and welcome to another car profile, the BoP test basically, and we're in the Mitsubishi, I can't even speak, Lancer Evolution Final Edition Group 3 car. Quite a mouthful. It's an FR car, so front engined rear wheel drive, and again a very interesting test. Now this is more of a Vision Gran Turismo car, as you're well aware. Obviously this is not in the GT3 circuit, but it does look bloody brilliant. Look at that, it looks absolutely amazing. So we're going to do our normal 5-track test and I'll show you where it's come in the standings. So let's kick off with Brands Hatch. So here we go, we cross the start finish line at Brands Hatch to begin the test here. So this is looking at undulations, fast flowing circuit. Obviously it requires a fair bit of downforce to get round the corners, and as you can see by the lap times on the right hand side, we've had a few little offs there with like lap 3, 4 and 5, 126s, 136 and a 127, but you know, we're about the right place. And the reason for this is because it's got a tiny bit. So obviously in the last one we did, the Audi R8, it was massive with weight transfer. This Lancer suffers with that a little bit, but it's only a fraction. Otherwise it's completely stable, and I think that slight little oversteer that it can get occasionally actually helps the car, because otherwise it understeers. So it's quite interesting. Now as you see, it's a turbocharged car as well, and weirdly in this car you want to rev it out so far, don't go all the way to the limiter, but you want to rev it out so far. So I'm normally going to the end of the meter here and then changing, rather than revving full on to the limiter, because the power band just drops off a ton if you go all that way. As you can see, this is a fairly quick lap. We're in the 122.2s, and for those with brilliantly good memories, that is around about the quickest pace we see 122.2s. So it is already up there. So this car showing that stability and cornering is there. And as you can see, we finished on a 122.248. Again, we're looking for optimals, not the overall fastest lap. Optimals, and you can see those there. So Dragon Trail. So here we are looking at curb use. Can it handle the curbs? And also the right-hander in the second sector, at the end of the second sector, how does it handle the stability? As you can see straight away, we're straight over the curbs. This car does not suffer. In fact, that first corner there, I think this is the most stable car that's been on that corner. It was really good there. Now you get a little bit of turbo kicking in, especially if you're lower down in the gears. Obviously then the turbo's coming on more powerful. So you do have to be careful about that a little bit, but other than that, this car's as stable as anything. In fact, I would go to say it's probably the most stable car we've done yet, but I'll show you that in a little bit. As you see, coming through here, there's a little bit of understeer. There's not too much. There's not as much as the Lexus, for example, which is our current fastest car, but there's a tiny bit there. As I say, I think that's reduced a little bit because it does have a tiny bit of oversteer in there. Coming into this corner though, this is where it's at, of course. So through here, it's instantly onto the power really. No worries there at all. You just saw a slight twitch, but that's obviously the turbo kicking in. If you go on the throttle continuously, that will obviously reduce because then the turbo's constantly active. Just be aware of that. Through here, again, like the Lexus, it suffered a little bit of understeer. Not as much. I could get a lot more consistent with the lap times. As you see, lap 2 and lap 3, some crashes, but then 4, 5 and 6 are fine. And of course, this is the fastest lap, so lap 7 is fine as well. So you can see the progression there through the lap times. As we continue on now towards the finish line, that last corner as well, very stable there. As I say, very stable car this. Another one I would recommend for beginners to the Group 3 class. As you see, a 136.9 is our optimal there. We just get 32.7 on the final lap there, and then I think we messed up somewhere. So we go to Interlagos now, and as you see on the right side, our lap times are fairly close. We've had a few offs here and there, and that's mainly the last corner. So this car, and we're at Interlagos for this, we are testing undulations. How does it handle the ups and downs? Now we tested a little bit of brands. Obviously we can test curbs here as well, but as we saw at Dragon Trail, this car can handle curbs very well. No issues there at all. But it's undulations. So this first sector is no problem. We actually beat that first sector on the lap after this. I think it was, because I knew there was time in it, so I literally did another lap and then I got it. So I knew there was time. Of course I know there's time in all of these, but when there's a lot of time there, I will just get that quickly. So coming into here, this is where the car starts to struggle a little bit. You can just see a bit of the understeer. I was pushing quite hard here. Here it's okay. Now the one thing I will say with this Lancer is just, and I specifically found it at Interlagos, steering angle is very key. If you can just straighten that steering a little bit more, the car will be ridiculously stable. Now it's fairly fine in this corner. A lot of the cars are going to go below half throttle. There I didn't have to. Last corner is where I struggled a little bit. Again, this is because you're going on throttle while turning. The straighter you can get it, in this car particularly, the more stable it is. It doesn't like oversteering a car. And as you see at the moment, our optimum's a 130.9. And a funny story, as I say, next lap I go faster in the first sector. But as you'll see in a second, in a funny bit of style, once we load, there we go. So we're on a 130.7. That's the fastest optimal that we've got here. My fastest actual lap time was what I showed, but I was 2,000 slower on the next lap. So, you know, we were around about there. Nurburgring. Now, we're on a 155.1 already on the optimum, so we're already up there. We're not quite in the Lexus like territory, but we are, you know, we're up there compared to all the other cars. So through this left-hander we go. Again, the steering angle, that's the main thing with this car, I feel. So if you can straighten it out quicker, a lot more stable this car will be. So through here, again, this corner I slightly struggled a little bit, but again, if you can straighten it, it's fine. So as you see, I'm trying to straighten it out as much as I can. 35.8, round about where I expect. It's not in the 7s, but definitely a 0.8 car. Now, as I say, you can always improve this, but even so, we continue on. Now, you probably notice we're always quite high in the gears. I think the transmission in this is very short gears. So what you find is that it struggles at top end, and this is why it's not as quick as the Lexus at this circuit. Because all through here, it's fast. It's fast. It's up there with the Lexus in terms of pace at this point. It's up there. But obviously we're getting to the faster section of the Nurburgring GP circuit, and this is why it's a balanced circuit, same as Suzuka, which is our next track we're going to go to. We can test cornering, handling, you know, how the car handles, but we can test top end, and top end, it does struggle a lot more. Through here we go. Look at the TV camera specifically here. You can see, look at that. It's just so stable. We can use all the circuit. We have no issues. It doesn't suffer with any curb issues. So again, when we get to the chicane, it doesn't suffer here at all, really. It's a good car to use. And if you are starting out in Group 3, I mentioned the Lexus in the past. This is another one that I would highly recommend to use. You can get quick times relatively easy without risking so much as other cars like the Alfa or, you know, the Aston likes to wheel spin a lot. Coming across the line, this is a 155.0, and that puts us into a 154.9 as our optimal. As you see there, 155.921. So that's only the second car to break into that 54s. So again, I know it's up there. So we're going to go to Suzuka now. Suzuka, again, another balanced circuit. Now, we struggled a little bit here at Suzuka. I'm not sure what it was. As you see, my times were 2 minutes and 159s. Fairly, I suppose, it depends how you want to look at consistency. But I'd like to think that it should always be 159s in this car. So the main issues I was having, I was pushing just too hard. Because the car is so stable, it wants you to push. It's always wanting to push you a bit more. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. So my optimum actually doesn't change that much on this lap. As you see, it's a 0.889 now. It doesn't go down very much more. We get a 33.1 there. I think my actual fastest is a 33.0. So very quick in that sector. As I say, this is a handling car. It's not a power car, it's a handling car. Through Tidgney 1 up to Tidgney 2. Again, it has a very fast sector 2, this car. I think it's 19.0 my best. I get 19.1 there. And I've never seen any car go in the 18s, I don't think, from memory. So it's definitely up there. But again, we're coming up to the speed section of the circuit. So this is where the car will start to struggle in comparison to the Lexus. Because obviously at the moment it's competing with the Lexus. They're both FR, they're both very stable. So I was expecting it to be up there. And I expected it to actually beat most of the cars, actually, on the board that we've done so far. But it doesn't. And it's all to do with this top end. And I'm going to look at that top end as well. So I know we've had the suggestion of Tokyo, doing it on Tokyo. I've done one on Tokyo for this car, but I want to do the others and then combine them and get a good idea, you know, as to whether that's the right test to do there. As you can see, we only get to 154 there. All the other cars were topping 155, 156. So you can definitely see the top end is struggling into the chicane. Again, it's very stable through here. Slight bit of oversteer on this corner, but nothing major. Accelerate out towards the line, and this is going to be the end of the BoP test for this Lancer Group 3 car. We get a 159.0, but as you see, it goes down by 8 thousandths to a 158.881. So we've done all the tracks. we're going to jump to the spreadsheet here, and as you can see, the Lancer is in second place, believe it or not. So it's 108% power, 102% on the weight. You can see all the times there. It's relatively close to the Alfa Romeo in terms of its speed. The nice thing is one's FR, one's MR. So you can see the difference there. Looking at the Suzuka top speed, I'd say it's 154, and the risk indicator, I've given it between 1 and 2. Now the reason for that, I didn't feel it could justify the 1 just because of the slight turbo issue and steering issue. But if you have them sorted and you know how to handle the car, it's a 1. It's hands down a 1. It's like one of the safest cars I've ever used. Otherwise, it's a 2 and it's on the same as the Lexus. So, it's very worthwhile using. So, I've just written the comments there. Undulations slightly unsettle the car. It's nothing major, but it does unsettle it a tiny bit. Again, that's probably because the engine's over the front. The rear's got no weight as you go downhill. Obviously, the whole of the weight of the car's on the front, so the rear gets a little bit twitchy. It's a very stable car. There's no weight transfer issues. Well, there's a slight one, but it's nothing hugely major. I mentioned the turbo kicking in. So the car is so easy to catch, by the way. It's ridiculously easy. And as I've said, it's mainly about accelerating and reducing steering angle, and then it'll be as sound as anything. So that's been the BoP test. Sorry for the slight delay with these, by the way. The Porsche is next, as you see by the order, then the Ferrari. So that's the order. So if you've got a request, it goes under the McLaren at this point. That's how many requests we've got so far on various websites and YouTube comments and stuff. Hope you enjoyed this video playlist there if you want to watch one of the other profiles. My logo's there if you want to subscribe. That's it for now. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.